Welcome back to the trading show here at Sin City Crypto. My name is David. I'll be your host for today. We're going to break down some charts, take a look, and I always forget what the hell I have on my freaking thumbnail. Let me just take a peek real quick so I make sure that I cover those coins, because if you're here because you saw those coins on the thumbnail, I don't want you to feel cheated. Near and ICP. Thank you, Rob. Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll look at Near. We'll look at ICP. We'll obviously look at Bitcoin. We'll look at the new trade position I opened, which is Avalanche. Okay, I talked about this on the morning show. I'll share with you guys what I saw on the chart and kind of go into more detail there. So welcome in, everyone. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And let's start with my position on AVAX, as you can see here. And those of you that are following along are trading. I've been trading less leverage, futures, and more spot. It does require a larger bankroll, but if you got tight stop losses and you're not afraid to take a couple small L's, you can really make some good money, but with a higher bankroll. So I would say those of you with less than $5,000, I'd recommend maybe doing the leverage trading, right? Bump up your leverage a little bit, but set very tight stop losses and know that there's going to be manipulation. There's going to be liquidation hunting. So just, and don't get greedy. When you're up 30, 40% in profit, take those profits, bank them, and move on to the next trade. If you do have the capital, I'd say anywhere between 5K and up, look into spot trading. Doing pretty well on Coinbase. The fees to begin are pretty high, but once you jump up in volume, those fees become very minuscule relative to how much volume you're trading and how much your position sizes are. So I did enter into an AVAX long at $18. Let's take a peek at what I saw on the chart. So I did mention AVAX on the daily. Let me get rid of the Bollinger Bands. Let's go here. And what the hell happened there? Bam. So this was a falling channel that we identified. This has happened multiple times this cycle. And so we had a larger one here going back to May of last year. This was, I guess you can say, more of like some people call it a megaphone pattern. Some people call it a widening wedge. Either way, it was falling. It was a wedge / channel, and it broke to the upside. And after we broke that key resistance level, it rallied 2x. Here, a downtrend, right? The top came in at around $55. This is in December of last year. We saw price get all the way down to $15, consolidated. It broke above its trend line, came back to retest, and off that retest, this thing rallied 61%. Guess what it did after it rallied 61%? It consolidated again, creating another falling channel, okay? And this falling channel broke out, retest, and rallied 53%. Now, the timing of this, from when this started to when it broke, was around 51 days. Where are we at with this channel? How long did this channel last? This channel lasted 31 days. So, could this thing come back down and get to the bottom end of this channel again? Maybe. But back here, this was in June, market conditions were a lot different than where we are today. And you can see the daily has broken. If you go down to the 4 hour, 4 hour has not only broken, but it's consolidating above the top end of this trend line. So our kind of turn back point here is 1755. If we break below 17, we'll call it 1755 to 1757, we'll look to stay above this low here at 1687, and I'll drop a horizontal. You can see this is where AVAX essentially put in, it kind of looks like a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders here. Here's your left shoulder, here's your head, here's your right shoulder, break above, and this thing rallied within this pattern. It rallied around 6%. That was a nice scalp. Came back down. The important thing here was it held this level as support, rallied, broke above, retest, positive, came back up, tested $18.35, and now is chopping sideways a little bit on the 4 hour. I want to throw the Bollinger Bands on here. Bollinger Bands are great. You can see the bands on the 4 hour are getting tight. The 1 hour are tighter than the 4 hour. So there's a move coming. And because that move is around a 1, is not too far off from the bottom end of our range here, but 2 is happening at a high volume point. In fact, the highest volume point on the 1 hour time frame tells me that this move probably will break to the upside, right? Trading is all about probabilities. What is the probability of it trading to the upside, breaking to the upside, or breaking to the downside? Based on everything we're seeing, for me, the probability is fairly high that it's going to break to the upside, and we'll look to scalp a nice profit. Haven't figured out my TP yet. I want to ride this thing up to that, like right before 20 bucks, something like 1940 or 1950, which would give me a, let's see what that profit level would look like from a percentage standpoint. Got in at around 18 bucks. Talk about 1940. That would be an 8% profit, okay? With my position size, that would be about, what is it? It's about 1,300 bucks, $1,200 to $1,300. Pretty good scalp here on a project that is a high cap that we can comfortably say is not going to completely collapse and go to zero. So even if we have to take an L on the trade, or if we end up getting some crazy liquidation event like we saw on October 10th, and we end up holding the bag, we'll be okay. And so that was my AVAX trade. Also, as I'm going through the charts, if you guys want, if you guys want me to take a look at any charts that you have positions on, or you're thinking about getting positions on, please throw them in the chat. I'm more than happy to do so.
Also, what's the schedule?
Let's look at Near Protocol. I made some money trading this range yesterday, last night, in fact.
Really?
I was trading the 1 hour on Near. Let me get rid of the Bollinger Bands here.
So what about the 3 restaurants?
Let me highlight
Are they coming back like next week or something?
my box. My box was from
I think the critical thinking people, did they say?
around 280. No, it was around 290-ish. Around 290. No, I was on the 15.
Oh, this is the wrong.
I was trading the 15-minute on Near. And the range I was trading was, up to 306. I believe this range is a little tighter here. All right there. So this is the range I was trading on Near. I was just scalping. I mean, right, like this move, right? It's a 7% move here. Come back down. Once we got above here, got back in at around, 286. Got out before we hit 308. That's another 7% clip there. Here, rode this thing up 5%. And so trading this range, I was able to make close to 3,000 just yesterday. This little range. Once it broke below the range, I did take a little bit of an L on the last trade. I had a stop loss set. And so I've been on the sideline on Near. I want to see it get back, which as of right now, actually, it is back in this range. Let's extend this out a little bit. Near Protocol is back in the box, had a positive retest around 284.4. This might be one that I might want to get back in around 2847. But the problem is we're not retesting the highs here above $3, specifically above $3.02. That's kind of been my strategy with Near Protocol. We do have a large liquidity level here, this large volume level at around, I'll drop a flag, 295. And so when I look at my risk to reward, if I enter in at the bottom end of this range at 284 and I ride this thing up to 295, that's a 3.7% profit. My target is always 5% and more. And so 3.74 is not going to do it for me. So my play on Near is the following. I want to see it get above 295.3. Okay. Now from 295.3, if we enter here, that would be a positive trade, right? That would hit my 5% target. So I'm more willing to wait, not try to catch that Pico bottom. Let me see price get above 295. If it keeps running, cool. I'll wait for a retest of 295 and I'll get back in and ride that thing back up to 305 or 3.05 or 3.08, depending on the sentiment of the market and where it's going. And as we speak, AVAX is starting to rally a tiny bit. As you can see here, back up to around 18.10 cents. But anyways, for near, I'm waiting for a clearance above 295. And then I'll be looking to scalp some longs yet again on near protocol. Data for Life said this kind of trading is too much gambling for me. Just hodl on SPY. Hey, that's cool, bro. If that is your strategy, hey, man. If it works for you, great. I was telling my nephew, I said, look, man, trading is all about what works for you. What indicators work for me might not work for you. You might be great with an indicator that I'm terrible at. You might see things on the chart that I don't see, and that's okay. So your investing or your money-making strategy could be different from mine. And if you're, as long as the point is, as long as you're making money, that's all that matters. I look at opportunity costs as a big thing for me. I don't want to have my money sit on the sidelines or in projects. At least my money-making bags, the bags that I look to make money from cycle to cycle, from trend to trend, from meta to meta, narrative to narrative. I don't want to park those in projects that are consolidating. I don't. And so that's kind of my strategy. If you have a different strategy, totally cool. Whatever works for you and however you are able to make money. Let's talk about the Internet Computer Protocol. Made some money on this one on the way up. Now, I was a little, I don't want to say disappointed, but let me clean up this chart here. Let's get rid of the Bollinger Bands. I think this one, I took this one from, 470. This is on the 4-hour time frame. Right, we had this nice rebound off of this 50% fib level, although we did come back down and retest a gold pocket, which was between 655 and 671. But we failed to take out the previous high. So this is currently, when you talk about structure, this isn't a downtrend, right? The two levels, the two highs going to take out. The first one is here. This is your 236 level. And the second one is obviously cycle highs. Well, actually not cycle highs, but current highs. Look at over the last 6 months. And so, yeah, someone said falling wedge on ICP. Yes, there's just not enough demand that I'm currently seeing. This thing has rallied. Now, on the second move down, the one thing I'll also say on the 4-hour, be careful. This is potentially a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern. In fact, let's go ahead and map that out and see what that looks like. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Let's go head and shoulders. Let's get our fancy drawing tool here. Okay, so ICP is at a key level, right? So technically, from a pattern trading standpoint, this was a head and shoulders that broke down and is now looking to reclaim the neckline. My bet is that we get rejected. My bet is we get rejected at $7. If we do not get rejected at $7, then this in turn is an invalidation of this head and shoulders pattern. But I don't think it's going to be invalidation. I think, in fact, it's going to moves. This measured move from top of the head to the neckline, from where it broke out, would bring ICP all the way down to $4.87, which you have confluence with a large liquidity level and a level where ICP consolidated before it had its giga rally. So can we come back down and retest almost the entirety of the move? And what I'll do here as well is I'll take my fib level and I'll draw it all the way down to when the price move broke out and see if we find any confluence here. We have a little bit of confluence with our gold pocket, right? From the move from $2.93 up to $9.86. This is right below our gold pocket. So we might see a small wick and then we might see settling in. If we do break down and we start to consolidate in this level here, I am a buyer of ICP at these levels. In fact, I would probably open up a large spot position here as well. Again, taking into consideration the overall market sentiment, where the markets are, of course, where Bitcoin is. Is the government shut down? What does the CPI data look like? We're about a month and a half, 2 months behind. Is the Fed going to overreact? What are the markets saying? So all those things considered, that is what I'll be looking at. But be careful if you're in an ICP long, be careful of $7. If you're looking for a short, watch what price does at $7. If it gets rejected, I would love to enter into a short. Maybe set your first TP at 642. Okay, that would be about a 9% scalp. Great. And then let's take your next TP somewhere in this region. You do have a large volume level here. I'll drop a flag at around 591. I would expect a small bounce there. And then maybe we get the full retrace, that full measured move, again, down to that $4, and we'll call it $5, down to $5. Is it probable? I don't know. Is it possible? Absolutely yes. But again, $7 is going to be what we want to see with ICP. All right. Someone said Zcash. Let's take a look at Zcash. Let's look at daily structure on Zcash. Let me go ahead and vertical line, bye-bye, brush stroke, bye-bye, brush, bye-bye, brush, bye-bye. Beautiful. This is Zcash on the daily. Let's go ahead and draw our fib levels. Let's first take the fib levels from here. Our fib right now we have drawn was from 197.59 up to wick high of $750. We're seeing consolidation below our 236 level. We saw a wick down to the 50 that retraced completely back to the upside. Still closed in the red though. So still closed below where price opened, but still the 50 tells us there's strong support there. Now, if I take this fib level and I draw it all the way down to its first big candle, you can see price is consolidating at its current 236 level, which is 589.71. Let me just go ahead and fucking 589.71. There we go. Price is chopping here. How long will this chop be? I don't know. Will the breakdown be down or up? I think it depends on market conditions. If you get another leg up, we're probably going into the mid 8s, 850, maybe even 900. But if we don't, my bet is we come back down to $411, which if it does come back down to $411, I think I will be gig along here. You see these candles with the large wicks to the downside, the bull. So what this tells me is, right, and I always tell people who are just getting into trading, look at each candle as a representative of people, right? These were people who were trading, algorithms, bots, whatever. Bears try to push the price down, but we closed above where we opened. Bears try to push the price down again. We closed above where we opened. This was a spinning top / doji candle here. Essentially, this tells you at this price level, there's a tug of war. Bulls attempted to push the price up above 480. Bears attempted to push the price below 370. Both ultimately failed, but the bulls won. Why? Because price closed above where it opened. And then after that, well, Zcash rallied from open to wick 70%. Okay? So I'd be looking for the same here at the 50 level, down at 415. If this thing breaks down, if consolidation at 236 happens and we get the breakdown, I'd be looking at 411, 411.1 on Zcash. But I think this, I don't know if this consolidation is going to be, you know, a week, 5 days, 3 days. I don't know. But I think there's going to be runners elsewhere. And I think one of those runners will be Avalanche. I could be wrong. Someone said, does this guy make money? I think I do. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I do. So, yeah. Okay, that's Zcash. Let's take a look at the crypto bubbles. What's up on the day? I did scalp a little bit of profit on World Liberty Finance this morning. We saw large volume come in. I got in on a bounce. Let's see where I got in. For the guy who says, does this guy make money? I'll just show you. World Liberty Fi. I got in at 15,477. Got out at 15,789. I think I made like $400 or $500 profit there. So not too shabby for a morning profit, for a morning trade. Let me go ahead and drop this down. As you can see, AVAX starting to push back up to the top end of that Bollinger Band, 1826. If it can break above that, I think it is going to try to get to that $20 level. So we'll see there as well. Can Ondo rally to 76 cents? I'm happy you brought up Ondo Mushroom because I was looking at that chart this morning and I was thinking about getting into a Ondo trade. Let me pull up an Ondo chart. Let's go Ondo. Let's go Coinbase. This kind of looks like AVAX. Let's take a look. This thing is down from a high of $1.30. This thing dropped 52%. Very similar to AVAX, right? And I'm curious, how long was this? How long was this consolidation? This was 2 months. 2 months of chop, right? Lower lows, lower highs. Let's see if we can find any bullish divergence here on Avalanche, or excuse me, on Ondo. Let's get rid of you. No technical bullish divergence, although we did put in a double bottom on the RSI here, while the price went ahead and made a lower high. Excuse me, a lower low. So that's a positive sign on Ondo. Yep, same idea, dude. I think Ondo, yeah, Ondo, let's look at the 4 hour. The 4 hour, yeah. I mean, like, guys, I mean, identical, right? Identical to what we were seeing with Avalanche. Avalanche is seeing a little bit of a bid here at 1810. That's AVAX. Ondo, kind of, you know, same thing. Ondo's probably going to come back and retest here at 65621. Let's go back to the daily. Let's look at some previous examples of what Ondo did. Here's another clear one. This was more of a channel than a wedge. This one's more of a wedge than a channel. Let's see, on the 4 hour, we broke above. We consolidated for about, this is on the daily, excuse me. We consolidated for 9 days. And then from consolidation to high, rallied 50%. This one was much longer, right? Not as big of a rally. And so Ondo, daily broke out. If we see a 9-day consolidation, you're looking at November 18th for a potential breakout if it follows exactly what it did back in June of this year. You can say same thing with AVAX, but again, June, a lot different sentiment, a lot different place we're in the market than now. I feel like a majority of people believe the bottom is in for Bitcoin. The bottom is in for a lot of the alts. And we're going to see a rally to the upside. Back in June, where was Bitcoin in June? Let's take a look at a Bitcoin chart in June. June of 25. So in June, Bitcoin was above 118. Or in June, actually, Bitcoin was above 110. It was chopping sideways around 110. And then in July, it pushed to that, at the time, cycle high or all-time high of around $123,000. Now it's a little different. Bitcoin's kind of tapped its low. I'm starting to feel like the bottom is in. Can we get another wick down? Everyone talks about that gap, that CME gap at 104. Sure. But after that large liquidation event, guys, I don't know. We had the chop. We had the consolidation. We're seeing a strong move to the upside, right? We're seeing decent volume. Nothing crazy like we saw back here off of this rally back in April. We're seeing decent volume. Let's look at RSI. We're seeing RSI slowly climb. Okay. And sentiment has definitely gotten a lot better. And so different scenario, different place where we are. And so Ondo and AVAX, very similar setups. And I bet you if I go across the board, we'll see these on a lot of different ones. Let's take a look at Cardano. See if Cardano has a similar setup. Yeah, kind of, yeah. Cardano has something similar happening, right? A falling channel, falling wedge. And a current breakout at 59 cents. So Cardano could rally as well. I'd be keeping an eye out at 87.65 cents for an exit. Let's look at the 4-hour. Very similar. Here's the thing, guys. It's like a cheat code when you're trading altcoins. Is they all kind of trade the same for the most part. You got a large volume gap. So if Cardano can clear 65 cents, guys, there's not much holding it back from getting up to that 82 to 85 cent level. You have this large gap in liquidity here, this large gap in volume here. This is like a dead zone. So this thing should fly if there's any momentum behind it. So I'd be keeping my eye on it on Cardano as well. We saw a mini alt rally, Dash, Zcash, ICP, Near Protocol. Are we going to start seeing some of those profits roll in to the other favorites like Cardano, like Avalanche, like Ondo? That remains to be seen. Okay, Hedera. Let's take a look at a Hedera chart. What is HBAR telling us? I know Rob was fairly bullish on this one. Let's clean up the chart here a little bit. Let's get rid of our fib level. Let's get rid of these. We'll keep our horizontals for now. And this is actually something that I've had mapped out for a while. This is HBAR on the day. Now, it has not broken out of this channel yet. Unlike the other ones who have gotten a breakout above, Hedera has not. Hedera has not gotten a break above. Let's see what Market Cipher. Ooh, Market Cipher. This was on Saturday. Gave us a little bit of a anchor trigger wave long entry here. Although this trigger wave is larger than we'd like to see it. Something similar was here. And I would argue this was kind of a failed entry signal. Okay, I'm looking at here. Anchor wave, trigger wave, right? And I'll drop a horizontal. Very similar depth of how deep the momentum wave got. We're looking at here, and we're looking at here. So what happened here? We're looking at this right here. What happened after we got that long entry? This would have been where you entered, right? You would have entered on the very next candle, which is here. That was a 7% rally, not bad. But on the daily, when you get these signals, or when you get your anchor wave, trigger wave signals, you're expecting to make a lot more than 7%. You want to see an example of one that really worked out? Here's one that really worked out. Right here. Anchor wave, smaller trigger wave, and what happened to the price? The price went up around 38% on Hedera. So for me, Hedera is a wait and see. I want to see this thing clear, and you can see it's already gotten rejected on a wick at around 20 cents. So for me, 20 cents is going to be the level. If we can clear 20 cents, I will say there's tons of volumes on the way up. 21.6 cents, and then the mega volume level for HBAR to clear is 24.8 cents. And so if you want to be a trend trader and you want to wait for a break of trend, wait for this thing to get above 24.8 cents, 25 cents, and then look to scalp a long. You're not going to catch the complete bottom, but that's okay. You should catch a nice move to the upside. And I'm out of vitamin 1. My mouth is dry. Now I woke up at 5 in the morning. My stomach was in knots, bro. I had Cafe Rio last night. Bad move. That's the worst. When you get woken up from a deep sleep because you got to take a crap. Terrible. As soon as I say that, Gino walks in. You really walked all the way over here to drop that? Okay. GG's for Gina. Oh, the other one I was looking at, guys, was XLM. XLM has been kind of quiet. Let's look at an XLM chart. Let me clean this up here a little bit. Why are you still laughing?
Fart.
Oh, you're still laughing at the fart? I mean, how much longer can this thing consolidate, right? Let's look at the weekly. Let's get rid of those. I mean, with XLM, patience pays off. I mean, this was a 200-day. This was a 200-day consolidation, and then it popped. 130%. How long has this consolidation been for near? Or excuse me, for XLM? So far, it's been 126 days. Can this go on longer, right? If this goes on and hits the same levels, the same amount, you're looking at mid-January of next year for any sort of move on XLM to the upside, any sort of like move that would get anyone excited, right? Not to say that it's going to follow in the exact same suit as it did back in when it hit its peak in December of last year. But if you are like, hey, you know, if this thing pans out the way it did, you're looking at mid-January. Let's go down to the lower time frame here. Let me get rid of these. You spot any patterns? Potentially developing a little bit of a, depending on if this was the current top, little bit of a head and shoulders here, inverse head and shoulders. Where is this going to consolidate and stop? Well, we can draw our Fibonacci from high to high. Right, your first level I'd be targeting is your 50, which is at 2851. Your gold pocket sits at around 2773. So that's where I would expect this, if this pattern does play out. Now, we could very well just get a breakthrough, come back and retest this large volume level at 32.47. I don't know. I think chances are, because you saw a wick up here, we're probably going to come fill out this right shoulder here, which I think would be more bullish than to get just another wick or just one close above that neckline, which is also kind of where, well, not actually, no, but if it does pan out, this would be where our 236 lives. But right now, you have a ton of potential resistance at 32.45. As you can see here, our 1-to-1 level, which is where we drew it, is, let me move this over, 31.11 cents for XLM. I want to remain patient. I want to see this right shoulder fill out. And then that breakout, you guys, let's measure this move here. I think this should be a really nice one. Neckline breakout, if this does pan out, will take us up to 35.4 cents. Right? It would clear this large liquidity level right here. You can see what price did. It chopped, consolidated, ultimately fell. So I would expect to get some sort of resistance and then continuation up to 35.4 cents. And then once we hit that level, we can zoom out to the weekly. The next big level after that, guys, is going to be 40 cents. If we can break above 40 cents, I think we're probably going up to like 90 cents to $1, especially if narrative heats up on payments and just XRP starts rallying. We know XRP and XLM kind of move in tandem. So that's one thing to keep your eye out for. Just checking the chat. Swapping Bitcoin for Litecoin. Interesting. Said I still have doubts about it because it goes from 106 to 145. That's a nice scalp. 106 to 145. Let's take a look at a Litecoin chart since you brought up Litecoin. LTC. It says Litecoin on the weekly. Let's check the daily. Guys, if you're not, okay. I want everyone who's serious about charting, I want you to throw on your VRVP indicator, okay? I'll make it bigger. Just go into your indicators, search VRVP, and I'll show you the inputs I have, okay? Rows layout, number of rows, row size, this is important. 240, if you like the way mine looks. 240 is a row size, volume up and down, value area volume, 70, okay? Throw that on your damn chart and see how price reacts, how price continues to react. Why is this not? This thing just went berserk on me. Let's go back here. And just see how price reacts at these key volume levels. We're right now seeing consolidation at this large volume node at 107, okay? In fact, we're getting some consolidation below it. This is on the 15-minute. Let's go to the 4-hour. I think I was on the daily, actually. I was on the daily. You can see how it got rejected on the way back up, right? And it'll sputter out a red line for you. And that red line will extend all the way through the chart, and it'll tell you where the highest volume area is for the time frame you're on the chart you're on. And it got rejected, and it's potentially coming into a bull flag pattern here. This should fill out. Now, how deep will this retracement go? Again, just draw your Fibonacci's. First level you look for is your 50, right? Below your 50 is invalidation, and your 50 currently is 98.16. So if you are patient and you want to wait for an optimal entry, I'd be targeting 98.1 cents. Now, that's not to say it's going to go all the way down there. We can go down to the 4-hour here. And the 4-hour tells us, well, the 4-hour, your 4-hour large volume level is at 98.16. Price consolidated at 98.16. And then it had that big spark, big rally, 13%. I saw someone say ICP is rallying. Let's take a look. Okay, guys, this is make or break for ICP on this rally, okay? Was it on the day? It was on the daily. No, was it on the daily? No, it was on the 4-hour. Yep, it was on the 4-hour. Okay. Let's see what ICP does. Okay. 7033. It's at 7009. Let's go down to the 15-minute. 15-minute looks strong. Big volume. Will it break? Well, it broke, but will it continue to the upside? It's currently at 7032. If we fail, we're coming back down to sub $7. No, I have not done any research on Metallicus. I don't even know what the hell it is. Zan Kang said it's on a 5-minute chart. I'm on a 15-minute chart. Okay, the way I would be trading this, and I'm not trading it now, but the way I would be trading this, I want to see 2 15-minute candle closes above 7027, okay? And you got to be okay with not scalping the absolute bottom. You got to be okay with leaving a little bit of profit on the table. Or else, what's going to happen is this wick's going to take you up. You're going to be exit liquidity for the whales that are in, and they're going to ride this thing back down. You're either going to take an L with a stop loss. You're going to be caught in a position for further downside. So yes, it's running. It's at 7053. I want to see 2 15-minute candle closes. If you can remain patient for 30 to 45 minutes, you'll know whether this head and shoulders on the 4-hour got invalidated with a break back above, or if this is a failed retest and more downside is coming. Okay? That's all I got for the show today. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We do the trading show Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right after the morning live at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. We do the morning show Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, where Rob and I co-host the show. Trading show for the time being is just me only. We'll be expanding out to 5 days a week on the trading show, but for the time being, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I love you guys. Until next time, peace.